give some background, let's talk a little bit about Woodcraft Hospitality. You build furniture or furnishings for the hospitality industry, which basically means hotels. And you have an operation in Vietnam.
Correct. So we're deemed to be what they call a contract manufacturer. We have our U.S. presence, which is where I am, and our team is in the States. But then most of the people that we have working for us and our team is actually overseas. We manufacture furniture and lighting. So in Vietnam, we manufacture furniture, and we have several different factory locations, quality control teams, all that type of ecosystem. Then in China, that's where we do lighting. We have similar teams based there. So.
In China. Okay. So when I travel and I stay in a Hilton, Wyndham, or Marriott, I'm going to think Woodcraft Hospitality, right?
It's a random niche market you probably don't normally think of, and so maybe you will now. Yes, but you're exactly right.
So it's like you said, it's a niche market. It's awesome, and there is a component in being in international logistics and domestic logistics. I know that there is a level of complexity to what you're doing. Samples going back and forth, finished products being shipped back and forth. Because of the time and distance alone, it creates some complexity. Then you have customs, and so all of those things matter. How does a streamlined and smooth logistics process affect you from a sales perspective?
For instance, I mean, just when you say a smooth logistics process, like what we're working with you guys, everything we make it is custom made to order for the most part. Meaning every customer that I go out and sell as a director of business development, they're bringing their own custom furniture, package, lighting, whatever. In order for me to produce that, they have engaged design firms, things like that, architectural firms, planners that have specific and set finishes and colors and fabrics all put and selected for this package well before I'm even brought into the picture. What I'm doing is sending the samples of those colors, those wood finishes, metal finishes, fabrics over to my team overseas for them to use in preparation of what we call color matching, or making sure it matches exactly. So when the product comes from Asia and lands at the hotel with 24 containers worth of product, the color that the guy saw in Paducah, Kentucky or New York City is the exact same color. So, and not to be long-winded, but right, the longer it takes me to get those samples to my factory, the longer it takes for the factory to make the finished sample to then subsequently ship back to me and go to the customer. All of that time is cumulative.
Yep.
And in my business, even though it's well known that the lead times are from end to end, 3 to 4 months at least, is we're usually a full project cycle from. And that's not even sales cycle, just project cycle.
Right.
Invariably, every customer, big or small, always is trying to get things faster and in a rush. What seems innocuous on the front side, because we're just starting the project, we haven't even gone in production, but the week or 2 weeks that it takes to get things over to Asia and subsequently back is all adds in and builds it. And that's how you quickly lose projects or fall off schedule right at the, before you even really got going.
Right. And falling off schedule, I think for some folks, if you're kind of in a box and, especially different folks that are involved making decisions, sometimes they can get into a rut where they're doing so much of this that they lose sight of the story behind the shipment and who it affects downstream. If you're installing in a hotel, say it's a new construction, if that shipment's late, you're going to think about all the people who are being paid to wait and the revenue that's lost because the rooms are not being sold, they're not being rented. And so what that usually translates into is people turning around and pointing fingers. Why is this late? Who's to blame? And it has an effect on customer relationships. And again, it can be really costly. I think of a lot of our customers who are doing similar things where they're installing equipment. They have to shut down part of the operation, whatever it is. Like I'm thinking hospitals or factories or whatever. And they say, okay, we're expecting this shipment on this day. The worst thing they can hear is, oh, there's a delay. And immediately you have to start thinking, okay, what's this costing us? and who is going to be upset about this, right?
I couldn't have said it more clearly. If I don't have furniture to put in a room, they can't rent the room. And they look at that as think about how much you think when you pay to stay at the Best Western or the Ritz-Carlton or anywhere in between. That owner of that property looks at that per night, per dollar, and per room, meaning hundreds of rooms. There was a lot of hands in the pot there.
Right.
Back at the guy that didn't bring the furniture on site on time. Your jaw would drop about how much money.
Oh, yeah.
How much that really counts to them.
Yeah, it has a huge domino effect. And that's why, with my team, anybody we bring on, we train them, and we just, we go over it over and over. Every shipment has a story, and you have to think about all of the parties that can be affected by a mistake. Mistakes happen. I mean, none of us are perfect, but we want to mitigate that to a minimum. And there is a very real soft cost savings that comes from good training and education. And that's why we approach our customers in a consultative approach. We really strive to reduce the transaction feel, and really just we're there as consultants to help our customers understand what needs to be done and how it needs to be done correctly, because we've seen all kinds of delays from things that could have been avoided. Documentation is a huge one. Information or lack thereof, the correct information, is probably the reason for most delays in logistics. And a lot of times it's just because people just don't know. They don't know what's expected, and there's so many variables, it's hard to keep track of it all. And that's what we're there for. So recently, you reached out to our team and said, hey, we need a training. Can you put together a training? If I remember correctly, our customer service team, our customer service manager, Prim, responded immediately, said, yeah, when do you want it? We can do it. When I talked to her to follow up, I said, how did it go? Was it effective? And she said, I think so. There were a lot of questions, and we were able to answer those effectively. And at the end of that training, she felt like there was a greater understanding of, all the ins and outs of the process. Is that an accurate summation of the training?
100%. I would say even further summary of it is exactly right. Is that when we joined with you guys, Marcus trained me, because I personally was the person that did the shipments. I handled at that time. That was my role. I was director of operations, and I handled interacting with my team overseas. So I was trained. I used the site. I used Webship. And over time, as we've grown and evolved, that role and that duty has changed to different people. And as it would go, we didn't train subsequent. I trained those people, on a pass off, rather than going back to you guys and having you actually train, just do a refreshing training, just by our own pure decision. Guess, once again, not being totally well versed in logistics, we kind of just take it for granted. You take it like FedEx, you just put it in and it goes and it just shows up there, but international is different. So what happened was, through a few different handoffs and a few different part-time people that weren't even doing it on a daily basis, by the time a month ago or so, when it got to another person that was really just being a caretaker for us and covering it, he didn't have the appropriate training and shipped 6 shipments, it was only minor issue. It was like a freight term, and a verbiage on how we listed something, of which all 6 shipments then were all delayed by between, a few days to several weeks.
Oh, wow.
Nothing on anyone's issue. We try, like I said, we are a smaller business, so we try and be self-sufficient, and a lot of people wear different hats. And this is one of those moments where the light bulb went off to me, and I'm like, let's stop. Let's go back to InXpress and let's get them to work to help us. Because exactly what you said, even when we have full-time people that we don't ship, shipments every day, that we just don't have that volume. So it's not, the repetition's not there to make it as perfected. I'm like, let's go back to them and let them do what they teach us and show us how they can do what they know. So when we now brought in a full-time person to take this role back over and really establish it, because that inlays weeks and hundreds of emails, to be honest with you. We chose to work with you and go through your service. It was like, use the service, and it actually helps. Right, we requested a training for this new employee of ours, and I can say even in real time now, we've shipped shipments this past weeks or 2 weeks, and I'm seeing they're already going through for the most part very smoothly. So you could see it in real time how the training kicked right in and did it and resolved any issue we had.
Yeah, and I find myself often, in the newsletter articles I write, I'm always inviting customers to contact us. If you have questions, if you're wondering about something, reach out to us. We can help, and we try to make it as easy as we can. If we need to do a training and meet through Zoom or what, you need templates or whatever, we just need to know, and we'll do everything we can to help, because we know that even those small things go a long way in helping the business, but also it affects the individual. I want people to go home having a great day, and nothing can ruin a day faster than fighting a logistics issue all day long. And when you don't have to because you've got support, you shouldn't. So yeah.
Wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah.